I know that I never really had much of an interest in science when I was in high school. And even when I was getting my psychology degree down at Marshall, I didn't really have much um, exposure to it in a sense. Like in high school, it was just kind of like just trying to get through. I'd rather hang out with my friends, kind of thing. I really enjoyed anatomy, but the chemistry, biology, just got through it. And then somewhere along the line, I started learning a little more and going to people who knew information about it and being presented. I also think because I don't think the teachers I had always presented it in an exciting manner. So going to people who actually were able to, you know, engage me and share interesting information, not just the knowledge, the basic information you just need to teach, the little details that you don't really always get. And I think that's when I was really grabbed by what science had to offer. And I think that by the information I was provided and in the manner I was provided it with, I think that's where I really gained my interest. And I think that as an educator, that's my responsibility too, to provide the information and what I know to help them, to help share it. So if there is a chance that they might have an interest, they can become aware of it. There's so many different occupations that I'm sure I will never, understand or know if I have an interest in because I won't be exposed to them. So by showing students all the different options and making them aware of them, they can decide where they would like to go. And then it's my responsibility to help them get wherever it is they want to go. Also, to be there to provide aid to whoever needs it, to not discriminate in any way against a student based on any learning disabilities. Any outside factor. How does this impact the learning environment? I think when students are engaged and their interests are being, how do I say it? Their interests are being a topic. It's not like, okay, I know you enjoy this, but we're only going to talk about this for a little bit, and then we're going to talk about something else. Like, I guess going back to the example of genetics and cell structure, if I know that they enjoy something and want to learn more about genetics, but I know I have to cover the basics of cell structure, well, then I'm going to cover the basics of cell structure and then spend a little more time in an area that I know that they're more engaged in, more towards their interests. And I think this helps to just solely engage the student. Oftentimes you see, when I was doing my observation hours, a lot of times there were certain subject material that they were very interested in, and you could tell because they felt they were very engaged. They were asking questions. They were very interested in the topic. And then there were just some subject material that they just completely tuned out for. So I think finding, and also the material that they're not so interested in, find ways to make it interesting, try new things. As an educator, try new things. One semester, if you find that just lecturing on this material might not work, maybe next semester tweak it a little bit and try adding some more hands-on activities. So once again, adapting to the needs of the students. to help engage them in the subject material. Explain my definition of learning and how I can tell this is happening. Learning, I think, this question, I know that you said you struggled a lot with determining how to tell someone's learning, especially if they're not, actively speaking or, sharing their perspective, if they're learning or not. And I agree. I think this is something very difficult to determine. And, unfortunately, until I determine the best way to do this, I feel that I'm most likely going to fall into the same path as everyone and hand out tests and papers or projects and evaluate them solely on their grades. But I know that just because you don't do well on something doesn't mean that you haven't learned. For example, the 648 class, the online class we took, it mainly dealt with environmental science, and I have a degree in environmental science. And I felt that a lot of times the questions on the quizzes were more solely to tell if you read, like they were extremely detailed. So out of the 30-page chapter, you were supposed to remember which country didn't attend the 1967, World Wildlife Act, whatever. So, but it didn't actually ask you, what that act was. It didn't ask you more about, do you understand the act, as opposed to what country didn't attend. So I think that that's a great example of not like, I know quite a bit about environmental science, but according to that quiz, I don't know that much because of those detailed questions that I wasn't able to find out in the 20 minutes we had to finish the quiz. So, once again, I think it's very difficult to figure out a way to determine if someone's learning. And a lot of people learn from reading. They don't necessarily verbally share their information, but it's in there. They read something very interesting about wind power, and just because they don't go out and build a wind turbine or something doesn't mean that they don't understand the basic structure, the function, why we use it, what it does. So it's very, very difficult. And like I said, unfortunately, until I figure that out, I'll most likely go to the standard, tests and papers. So, or hopefully I'll learn that before I enter the school system. Hopefully somewhere along the way somebody will help me learn how the best way to determine or to evaluate someone on how they've learned or if they've learned.